Greetings, fellow Dungeon Delvers, and welcome to Dorans and Dragons, where we work together to come up with Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition builds for your favorite League of Legends champions. Today we're building Tahm Kench, the River King. Tahm Kench is an urban legend throughout Valorant. Word of him is spread from Bilgewater to Piltover, all tales of those lost to greed. Each tale has a similar structure, a consistent thread throughout. It starts with a simple taste for a small price. A winning night in a gambling den, inspiration for a project, or even just the promise of a richer land. But that taste is never enough. The requests come more and more, and the River King takes more and more until eventually you beg him to end your miserable addiction. And then it's on to the next susceptible soul. Before we get started with the build, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when we release our builds. We'd like to thank one of this month's Doran's Blade patrons, Cursed. Thank you so much for your support. It means a lot to us. Cursed asked us to unbench the Kench as part of the rewards for our Blade Tier patrons. Speaking of Blade Tier rewards, this month's homebrew is Into the Frozen Tundra, based on the Freljord. Here's a preview for next month's homebrew, Ascent to the Radiant Summit, where you find the rewards for scaling Mount Targon. We also started a cool little merch shop. Come join us for discounts on that and homebrewed content every month. Alright, now let's get into it. First, let's cover the goals of this build. We need to unbench the Kench and get dummy thick, while still doing a decent amount of damage. We also need to jack those skill checks to the roof, specifically our charisma-based ones. For race, we're going to go with the Locathah. They've got the catfish look about them, and that's what we need. Locathah gain +2 to strength and +1 to dexterity. They also have their own form of natural armor, giving them an AC of 12 plus their dex mod. We also get proficiencies with athletics and perception. Leviathan's Will gives you advantage on saves to be charmed, frightened, paralyzed, poisoned, stunned, or put to sleep. These all sound great, right? Well, they are, but we have one more thing that holds this race back a bit: limited amphibiousness. You can breathe air and water, but you need to be submerged once every 4 hours to avoid suffocating. Keep that in mind when you play this build. This can easily be solved by carrying around a tub in your bag of holding and a decanter of endless water. For background, we're going to go with Charlatan. Manipulating people is TK's main ability and skill. You get proficiencies with Deception and Sleight of Hand. You also get the False Identity feature, which lets you create a second persona and gives you the ability to forge documents very well. It's stat time, and we'll avoid the potential interaction with Tahm Kench by not gambling and instead use the standard array. Roll if you want to take the risk, just make sure you have at least a 13 in Charisma and Dexterity. Dexterity is going to be our top stat for the build. TK is quite nimble for his size, and his tongue has quite a bit of agility and coordination. After that, we'll pick up our Charisma. Being able to talk folks into slowly eviscerating themselves requires quite a bit of persuasion. Constitution is next. Like we said in the beginning, we need to get a bit tanky. After that will be our Wisdom. He's got strong will and determination. Intelligence will be our 10 score. Knowing who to gobble definitely doesn't require too many smarts. Finally, we'll dump our Strength. Our tongue is going to rely on our dexterity, so we don't need strength in this build at all. Luckily, our +2 to strength will balance us out to a 0 modifier instead of a -1. We do need one piece of equipment for this build, a whip, which will flavor as Tahm Kench's tongue. I know this is where I might lose some of you, but there's just no way to do it any other way, unfortunately. We had an idea to do a few levels in Druid and Wild Shape into the Giant Toad, but we ultimately decided that would be the worst option of our two choices. Alrighty, now that we've got that all cleared up, let's get into the class levels. We're going to start off with a level in Rogue. Rogues have a D8 hit die and proficiencies with light armor, simple weapons, hand crossbows, long swords, rapiers, and short swords. But you'll notice they are not proficient with whips, which are considered a martial weapon. Don't worry, we'll grab that next level. We do get 4 skill proficiencies. We're going to take Persuasion, Insight, Intimidation, and Performance. Expertise will let us take 2 of our proficiencies and double our bonus with them. We're going to flex hard on the Addiction Demon route and choose to Expertise Persuasion and Deception. After that, we'll get the Sneak Attack feature, which will count as the bonus damage given to us by our acquired Taste passive. Sneak Attack lets you add a scaling pool of damage die to one attack per turn, given that certain conditions are met. To make it simple, if your target has any enemies within 5 feet, or if you have advantage on the attack, you get to add Sneak Attack damage. At level 3, we'll get another enabling condition for Sneak Attack as well. Our final level 1 feature is Thieves' Cant. This is a language that only you and other roguish figures understand. It lets you slip coded messages into normal dialogue. And we're moving over to Fighter real quick for that martial weapon proficiency we need. Luckily, most campaigns start higher than level 2, so if you use this build, you won't suffer for long without having it. Fighters have a D10 hit die and grant us medium armor, shield, and martial weapon proficiencies. First level fighters also choose a fighting style. Since we're going to be mainly using TK's tongue, we're going to take dueling. Dueling gives us a +2 to our damage rolls, since we're using a single-handed weapon with one hand. Our final level 1 fighter feature is Second Wind. As a bonus action, heal 1d10 plus your fighter level once per rest. Insert meme about using it before you take your short rests and waste hit die. This is going to be the passive regen provided by our E, Thick Skin. Well, if we're going to go fighter anyway for the proficiency, might as well spend the extra level and pick up Action Surge. Action Surge allows you to push yourself past your limits once per rest and gain an additional action on your turn. Keep this in mind as we get our later levels and abilities for some awesome combos. And back to Rogue. Second level Rogues unlock Cunning Action, and their mobility and utility goes through the roof with this. This lets you use your bonus action to dash, disengage, or hide. Keep in mind that since you're only using a single weapon, your bonus action is probably going to be available every turn. Level 3 Rogues choose their Roguish Archetype. We're going to embrace our seafaring and dueling ways and go with Swashbuckler. Swashbucklers gain 2 very cool features. Fancy Footwork allows you to avoid opportunity attacks from any creature you've made an attempt to attack on your turn, similar to the mobile feat. Rakish Audacity is the better of the 2 though. First, you get to add your Charisma mod to your initiative. By the end of this build, you're going to have a whopping +10 to your initiative. This also gives you the ability to add sneak attack damage to any target when it's the only creature within 5 feet of you and you don't have disadvantage on the attack. Alrighty, now that we've got some of our martial abilities down, it's time to take a detour into Bard. Bards have a D8 hit die and give us proficiencies in 1 new skill. We went with Survival. Bards can also grant Bardic Inspiration, which is a pool of scaling die equal to your Charisma mod. Your allies can use this die to add to any ability check, attack roll, or save they make. This recharges on a long rest. We also get first level spells and cantrips. Vicious Mockery is the Bard bread and butter and it fits the Kench perfectly. You flame them with your silvery tongue and watch them rage in all chat. The creature has to succeed on a wisdom save or take 1d4 psychic and have disadvantage on their next attack. We'll also pick up Charm Person. You force a wisdom save, and if they fail, they become friendly to you until the spell ends or one of your ding-dong teammates does anything to harm it. Second level bards gain Jack of all trades. You get to add half your proficiency bonus to any skill you're not proficient in. They also unlock the Song of Rest. During a short rest, you can amplify the results of anyone spending hit die by 1d6. Level 3 bards choose their Bardic College. As a manipulative giant catfish demon, we're going to go with College of Whispers. This gives us a few features. Psychic Blades will give us a little more acquired taste bonus damage by burning our Bardic Inspiration die when we make an attack. At this level, it'd be 2d6 psychic damage once per round. We also get Words of Terror, a once per rest feature that lets you turn a creature paranoid. You have to speak to the target for at least a minute, so save this for role-playing bits only. You force a wisdom save on the creature, and if it fails, it's frightened of you or a creature of your choice for 1 hour. We also gain 2 more skills to expertise in. We'll take Perception and Performance. Lastly, we'll pick up level 2 spells. We're going to go with the staple of the channel here, Hold Person. You force a wisdom save on a creature, and if it fails, it's paralyzed for the duration. You're going to have to roleplay this one a little hard if you want it to be your Devour, but I think you can definitely do it. If not, it'll certainly work as the empowered version of your Tongue Lash. 4th level bards get the first ability score improvement of the build. We're going to dip into the Unearthed Arcana for the Slasher feat to get the slow on Tahm Kench's Q, Tongue Lash. We get to increase our Dexterity by 1. And once per turn when we land a whip attack, we can reduce the target's speed by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. Finally, whenever we land a critical strike, the target has disadvantage on all attack rolls until the start of your next turn. Can't wait to see this in Tasha's. Level 5 bards get Font of Inspiration. This allows their Bardic Inspiration die pool to replenish on a short rest as well as a long rest. We also get level 3 spells at this level. We're going to pick up Tongues here. Mainly because while we were building this on stream, we thought it was hilarious, and I regret nothing. Tongues grant a creature you touch the ability to understand any spoken language it hears for 1 hour. 6th level bards unlock Counter Charm, which works as a Mikhail's Crucible. As an action, you start a performance that rouses any friendly creatures and grants them advantage on saves from being frightened or charmed. Whisper bards also get Mantle of Whispers, which lets you magically capture a shadow and use it as a disguise. This doesn't really apply to TK, but it's still a cool ability from the roleplay perspective. Keep it in mind. Level 7 bards unlock 4th level spells. We're going to pick up our Abyssal Voyage with the Dimension Door spell. This lets you teleport yourself and any willing creature who hops in your mouth up to 500 feet away to any area you can visualize or describe the distance and direction to. 8th level bards get another ability score improvement. We're going to grab 1 more feat and be done with them early for once. Magic Initiate Sorcerer will allow us to pick up some cantrips and a level 1 spell from their spell list. We're going to pick up False Life for the active shield portion of our E, Thick Skin. You pull in some necromantic energy to bolster yourself with 1d4 plus 4 temporary hit points. Alright, we're going to bounce back to Rogue and get another ability score improvement here as well. We're going to just start bringing up our stats now, taking +2 to Dexterity here for our Tongue Lashes. Level 5 Rogues pick up Uncanny Dodge. Anytime you can see an attack coming, you can spend your reaction to reduce the damage of that attack by half. 6th level Rogues gain 2 more skills to expertise in. Just like the Kiana build, Rogue and Bard combos have such crazy high skill checks. We're going to pick up Intimidation and Insight here. Level 7 Rogues pick up Evasion. This will make your DM spellcasters weep as you ignore even the half damage from any dexterity based saving throw that you succeed on, and take only half damage from the ones you fail. 8th level Rogues get another ability score improvement. We're going to finish maxing our dex with a point here, and also round off our constitution with a point. Level 9 Swashbucklers get the Panache feature. As an action, you can pull those Tahm Kench charms and perform a persuasion check against the creature's insight. For context, you have a +14 to persuasion. If you fail this check, you need to chuck that die in the garbage, or at least put it in dice jail. If this creature is hostile to you, it has disadvantage on attacks against anyone other than you, and can't even make opportunity attacks against non-you people. If it isn't hostile to you, it's charmed for a minute, regarding you as a friendly acquaintance. The roleplay potential here is insane, especially since it's almost a guaranteed success. For our final level in the build, we get another ability score improvement. We decided to forgo the Constitution increase and instead simply picked up the Tough feat, which gives you an additional 2 HP per level. So instead of getting 20 hit points from a Constitution bump, we got 40. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. We have a 17 AC and 185 average hit points. When you add in the rogue defensive abilities, this is actually a very durable build. Now take that tankiness and add a decent amount of damage. With our Psychic Blades and Sneak Attack, we can add 8d6 damage once per turn. Also, we are the king of skills, especially the Charisma-based ones. Not one of them is under an 11. Now the bad. We unfortunately have to use the Whip instead of being able to do some sort of cool tongue shenanigery. Also, our Devour is not quite what we want it to be. As we mentioned at the beginning, you can do the Druid Giant Toad Wild Shape, but that just felt wrong. So, what'd you think? I've included a link to this build via D&D Beyond in the description below, as well as Amazon links to the books used in this build. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have a few awesome rewards, including access to our Discord community and monthly homebrew releases. We plan on churning out one League Champion build every week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.